The Rise of Osman, the Birth of an Empire. At the turn of the 13th century, the world shook with change around Anatolia. Mighty empires were crumbling, Byzantium a shadow of its former self, the Seljuk Turks fading fast. It was amidst this chaos that a small frontier town called Sogat, nestled near the Byzantine border, would host the cradle of a future empire. There was a young warrior named Osman, son of Ertugrul Ghazi, the leader of the Ki tribe, a proud clan of nomadic Turks. They had been refugees from Central Asia, looking for a new home after fleeing the Mongol storms that had destroyed their lands. Ertugrul had served under the Seljuks with loyalty and had earned much respect for his bravery and wisdom. When he died about 1280, the leadership of the Ki fell to his ambitious and daring son, Osman. A dream and a destiny. One night Osman had a dream, the kind of dream that changes the course of a nation. He dreamed that a crescent moon rose. From the chest of his spiritual mentor, Sheikh Edebali, and entered his own. From his chest then grew a mighty tree, whose branches stretched across the world, shading vast lands from the deserts of Arabia to the walls of Constantinople. Beneath its leaves flowed rivers that gave life to uncountable people. Osman, upon waking up, shared the dream with Sheikh Edebali, who, smiling, said, "Osman, my son, God has granted you and your descendants sovereignty. You shall be the founder of a great empire." Edebali later gave Osman his daughter, Milhan Hatun, in marriage, sealing the bond of fate with family. The frontier warrior. Life on the frontier was hard and precarious. Osman and his men were Ghazis, warriors of faith who defended their lands and raided the Byzantine forts. But Osman was not just a fighter. Rather, he was a leader with vision. He realized that courage alone could not build a nation, that justice, loyalty, and faith had to be its pillars. He gathered around him brave companions. Turgut Alp, strong as a bear, raised a big axe and was fearsome in wars. Abdurrahman Ghazi was a wise and loyal soldier who had served his father. Kosmihal was a Byzantine noble who later converted to Islam after seeing Osman's honesty and valor and became one of his closest allies. Together, they conducted small, daring raids on nearby Byzantine castles such as Bilisik, Yenisar, and Inagal. These were not great, decisive battles. However, they were to slowly expand Osman's influence in strategic moves. The siege of Bilisik, a clever trick. One of Osman's most famous victories wasn't won by the sword but rather by wit. When the governor of Bilisik invited neighboring leaders, including Osman, to a wedding feast, Osman saw an opportunity. He feigned sending gifts chests filled with fabrics, but inside the chests, his warriors lay in silence. The night passed with music and laughter in the hall, but meantime Osman's men broke out and took over the fortress from inside. By morning, the Ottoman flag was flying over Bilisik. It was more than a military victory, it was a declaration. Osman was no longer a minor tribal leader but a ruler carving his own domain. The fall of Kulakhisar. Next came Kulakhisar, a Byzantine fortress commanding the trade routes in the region. In 1285 Osman's warriors launched a surprise attack under the cover of night. The battle was fierce and bloody, but by sunrise the fortress was his. The victory sent shockwaves through Anatolia. For the first time, the Byzantines realized that this Turkish chief was no mere raider. He was building something lasting. The birth of the Ottoman Beylik. Osman's burgeoning power concerned the weakening Seljuk Sultan, but the dominance of the Mongols over the Seljuks made them powerless to do anything about it. In 1299, Osman declared independence, a symbolic moment that marked the birth of the Ottoman Beylik. He struck coins in his own name, his first act of sovereignty, and assumed the title Bey of the Ottomans. Historians usually consider this to be the actual year of founding of the Ottoman Empire. Osman's style of leadership was simple yet revolutionary. He ruled not through fear but through fairness. Villages under his rule, Turks, Greeks, Armenians, and others, found stability, and most importantly, justice. Unlike many warlords, Osman respected local tradition and granted religious freedom, winning both loyalty and admiration. The siege of Yenisar and Osman's dream for the future.